Releasing fish back into nature is a beautiful gesture of compassion and respect for life. But without the right scientific knowledge, even the best intentions can sometimes lead to unintended harm. To truly help, we must understand the ecosystem and the specific needs of the species we are releasing. Not long ago, a group of eels, loaches, and crucian carp were caught by fishermen from their hometown and placed into several large tanks filled with clean water, swaying as they were taken down the mountain. After all, we are luckier than sardines, the elder eel thought to himself. But just thinking about the future, our fate is uncertain. Sigh. A few naive little loaches continued to dart around, playing the game they had started back in their hometown, when a splash suddenly broke the elder eel's contemplation. Before long, the turbulent tank suddenly calmed down, and all that could be heard outside was the clamor of various vendors. "Live fish 3 ways! Live fish 3 ways!" A loud voice suddenly rang out above the tank. It turns out that being luckier than sardines is not without reason. This guy treats us well, but isn't it just for our freshness to raise his price? In the end, our fate is no different from those sardines. The group grew increasingly fearful, unable to help but struggle and jump desperately in the tank. Unfortunately, lacking the stature of the big carp, they quickly became exhausted and utterly hopeless. Suddenly, a stranger's voice came from beside the tank. "I'll buy them all. I can't bear to see these lively and adorable fish swallowed up. I want to take them to the streams in the deep mountains and release them." Instantly, cheers erupted, and they celebrated, "We are saved! We are saved!" Then, the kind person moved them all onto a vehicle, swaying for a few hours, bringing them to a clear stream full of stones and gravel. The kind person thought this was a good place for their release, so he and his companions poured the tanks of fish into the stream. The fish were all overjoyed to be saved, and the elder eel frequently nodded in thanks to the savior while in the air. However, as they submerged into the water, their expressions changed drastically. "Oh no, how did we end up in this rocky place? Where are the water plants we like? We're starving. Ah, the water is flowing so fast I'm feeling dizzy." 2 days later, someone discovered thousands of eels, loaches, and crucian carps floating and struggling for life in the Qingshui River basin. Experts who went to conduct an ecological survey initially thought someone had poisoned the fish. After careful observation, they found that these fish's natural habitat should be a sedimentary river section filled with aquatic plants, which left them puzzled as to why they appeared in the gravel-laden Qingshui River. Later, upon inquiring with nearby residents, they learned that 2 days prior, someone had purchased a large batch of fish and shrimp to release them upstream in the Qingshui River. Many people, while sincere and well-intentioned, lacked understanding of the species, habits, and ecological environment of the released animals, leading to their inability to adapt to the new environment, resulting in sickness, starvation, or becoming prey for other animals. This is a true story reported in the news. What kind of reflection does it bring to individuals? Does a person's sincerity combined with good intentions guarantee true happiness? When a person earnestly follows certain religious or ideological trends, or works hard to cultivate themselves, can it truly resolve the fundamental issues of human sin? Is it sufficient to release us to a true destination that brings us peace and joy? Or in the end, are we just busy for nothing, floating and struggling like the aforementioned fish and shrimp on the brink of death? Many people believe religion is all about encouraging people to do good. It doesn't matter what you believe as long as you are sincere. Why do you Christians always say that only by believing in Jesus can one be saved? Isn't there a saying that all roads lead to Rome? There is nothing absolute in the world. Everything is relative. Is relativity really just relative? Since Einstein proposed the famous theory of relativity in 1905, many people have somewhat understood and rushed to declare there are no absolute truths in the universe, everything is relative. In fact, as some renowned physicists have lamented, the name relativity may be somewhat misleading or inaccurate. Relativity indeed breaks the concept of classical absolute spacetime. In classical physics before this, we believed that the entire universe only needed one standard clock and one standard ruler, regardless of whether you were in a stationary laboratory or on a high-speed space shuttle. Our measurements of time and distance were the same. Now, relativity tells us that time and distance are not absolute. The time and spatial intervals between two events can vary depending on the motion state of the observer. In terms of time measurement, an observer on the space shuttle feels that 1 second has passed normally, while for an observer on the ground, many seconds have already passed. In other words, the person on the ground sees the person on the space shuttle as if they are in slow motion. It is particularly noteworthy that although relativity breaks the absoluteness of space-time, it does not break all absoluteness. In fact, relativity is based on two solid absoluteness experimental foundations. 1. All physical laws are the same in any inertial system, that is, a reference frame at rest or moving at a constant speed, meaning that natural laws do not change based on the system you or I are in. 2. The speed of light is constant, and the results measured in any inertial system are the same and unchanging. The first experimental fact is easier for people to understand and accept. It expresses the existence of objective natural laws and indicates their simplicity and consistency. Only in this way does science acquire its unique significance. The second experimental fact, however, leaves people puzzled. When you and I measure the speed of a beam of light in a stationary laboratory, we obtain a result of about 300,000 kilometers per second. But when we whimsically assume that we can also run towards it at nearly 300,000 kilometers per second, we think that the speed we measure should be about 30 plus 30, resulting in approximately 600,000 kilometers per second. However, we are mistaken, because when you actually measure it with instruments, it is still 300,000 kilometers per second. Conversely, when we run in the direction of the light, chasing it from behind at nearly 300,000 kilometers per second, we think we can finally face sister light and see her true form. Yet you will be greatly disappointed, as you will find that while you are running fast, she is running even faster, and she continues to leisurely move away at 300,000 kilometers per second, leaving you feeling disheartened. Yes, you might be able to catch up with a flight attendant flying at nearly 1,000 kilometers per hour in the air if you try hard enough. However, when it comes to sister light, darting through the void at 300,000 kilometers per second, you can only sigh at the sky in resignation. It wasn't until later that some physicists like Einstein finally had an epiphany, abandoned their previous biases, and accepted her as she truly is. In doing so, they brought our understanding of nature into a brand new and wonderful realm. The emergence of relativity indeed sparked the greatest scientific revolution since Newton. That said, even today, physicists remain perplexed by the unique behavior of sister light, which carries a certain absoluteness. They simply accept this fact as a starting point for relativity. In summary, many people naively believe that the denial of the existence of absolute truth in relativity is itself based on the two absolute experimental facts mentioned above. What kind of enlightenment does this give us? We will explore some of the lessons it offers from a more philosophical perspective.